Here, MSNBC contributor, soon to be host of a yet-to-be-named show, Joy Reid, Jimmy Williams, Democratic strategist, and pollster Margie Omero. I suggested a name for the show during the commercial break that we won't say on the air here.
That's right. Keep secret.
You know what? I want to start with where we just left off with Senator Barrasso. When I asked him about raising the minimum wage in this country, we've seen the polling. We know how popular it is, not just with the average American, but with Republicans as well. Why that response?
I think that Republicans are kind of caught in a feedback loop that has to do in part with their base. Their base needs them to continually oppose President Obama no matter what, even on issues that are really not core issues for the voter. The minimum wage is not an ideological issue for conservatives or Republicans, at least it didn't used to be, but it is when it's attached to the person of President Obama. Anything attached to him. I mean, you also asked Senator about the national debt.
Right.
The national debt fell year over year from the end of World War II all the way till Reagan, and then it started this incredibly steep climb that we haven't ended except for Clinton. And they used to say, Dick Cheney said, deficits don't matter. Reagan proved deficits don't matter. But when there's a Democrat in the White House, particularly this Democrat, oh yeah, deficits.
Well, it's just another example of how Republican leaders are much farther to the right than Republican voters, because polls show, as you say, a majority of Republicans support increase in the minimum wage. And if you look at not just the specific policies, but the context of how you talk about the poor and income inequality, I mean, people are just much more tolerant and forgiving and accepting of their fellow Americans than some of the language you hear from Republicans.
As I said to the senator, this isn't about defending the president, but facts are facts. And when it comes to the debt and deficit, it's difficult to deny that we are far better off as a country as it relates to the GDP than we were just 5 years ago. So let's get to the speech from last night, Jimmy. I want to talk to you a little bit about the content of the speech, because it is, of course, an even-numbered year. It's a midterm election, and it seemed at times last night that the president was checking boxes. Take a listen.
This Congress needs to restore the unemployment insurance you just let expire for 1.6 million people, to help more kids access the high-quality pre-K that they need. It should be the power of our vote, not the size of our bank accounts, that drives our democracy. America must move off a permanent war footing. Let's get immigration reform done this year.
How much of what we heard last night was a campaign speech for Dems?
101%. And by the way, the rebuttal was
we're going to get to that just a moment.
But look, the president touched on everything. I mean,
it was wide-ranging.
He hit Syria, he hit Iran, he hit Afghanistan. He hit it clearly. He hit UI. He hit the EITC. 27 million Americans are on the Earned Income Tax Credit. Yeah. Get it. Now, I bet you they're not all Democrats. At some point, the Republicans are going to wake up and realize, and by the way, who was the chief proponent of the EITC in the Congress? Former Maine Republican Senator Olympia Snowe. And this is something the president talked about, but are they going to extend it? The point here is he was clear on every single one of those issues. Every one of them. He had policy proposals for every single one of those issues. 6 more high-tech manufacturing hubs across the country. That's a job creator.
Was the speech too wide-ranging? I mean, did he focus on too much?
I don't think so. I mean, you have a lot of people today saying this was a very modest speech. But if you look at, well, one, the frame, right? The frame is a year of action, right? And that's a good contrast with Republicans in the House who have literally shut down the government. So that's a clear contrast. It's not just about a laundry list of proposals. And also, if we're able to get some movement on some of the things we talked about, that they talked about last night, whether it's immigration or infrastructure or preschool, income inequality, women's equality, I mean, those are some major accomplishments.
Too. I mean, that's actually big.
In fact, it was passed this morning. It was a populist speech last night. I thought it was populist without sounding too progressive.
Well, I mean, it was interesting. I saw the speech as kind of an invitation, right? The president was very energetic. He was very, I thought, in a way, sort of magnanimous toward Republicans, that sort of nod to John Boehner being the son of a barkeep. And sort of, it was like an invitation. It was saying, listen, the American people and I are going this way. This is what we want to do. We want to create jobs. We want to give America a raise, right? This is what we want to do. And Congress, come on. He didn't really attack them. And a lot of people on the left were sort of annoyed that he didn't use the speech to really beat up on the Republican Party, because I think he was trying to leave some space open for any Republicans who remain who do want to make a deal.
Especially on immigration.
On immigration is one of the big things. But I think even on things like minimum wage and on extending unemployment insurance benefits, I don't think the White House has 100% given up on that. They're trying to leave the door open at least somewhat.
You wrote something that caught our attention with regards to the response. One of the one of the 4 or 5 responses from last night. The official response, though, came from Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers. Right. Here's a snippet.
So when I showed my 4-H animals at the county fair, my parents used to say to me, "Kathy, you need to save this money so you can go to college one day." I came to Congress to help empower people, not politicians.
You wrote that this was something like, your words, the American Gothic Republican response. What did you mean by that, Jimmy Williams?
Well, I mean, so we have this folksy sort of picture that the Congresswoman was portraying, which is she grew up on an apple picking farm in eastern Washington, blah, 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 and she made it. Her parents said, save your money, work hard, you're going to make it, the American dream. Great, congratulations. That's what most Americans can do. Yeah. And then now you're sitting in the United States Capitol with a nice fire burning beside you on a silk gold damask settee, Chippendale settee, and looking remarkably refined. That's the American dream. Great. So then what are your policy proposals to make that dream better for everybody? Here's what she said. We have plans to improve our education and training programs.
Details to come. ...
I mean, like, that's all you have to tell the American people that you're going to do instead of what Barack Obama's going to do. Have an idea. Get off the sofa and go back to the apple orchard, and maybe you can understand what minimum wage workers are actually earning these days.
We're gonna have to leave right there. Joy Reid, Margie Omero, Jimmy Williams. Big thanks to all of you. We will be.